Welcome to the Inner Blueprint Podcast. I'm Sean Foyer, the Universal Mindset Disruptor. With over 20 years of turning blueprints into thriving home improvement businesses, I've learned that the strongest foundations start in your mind. Whether you're building a business or your own success, we're here to reshape how you think and face daily life and always remind you to enjoy the ride. Welcome back to another episode of Inner Blueprint, the podcast all about giving you good information to help you think better thoughts so you can create better results in your life. I'm your co-host, Sean Foyer, the Universal Mindset Disruptor. Here today, I'm accompanied by the beautiful, amazing, radiant
Caitlin Foyer. I'm pretty excited about today.
You are? Why
Yeah.
are you excited? Who's our guest?
Well, we're our guests, which is pretty great, right? Our mastermind, the two that come
two of us, yes.
Yeah, that's our guest. But we're going to talk about a lot of things that really speak to me, because before I met you, as much as I want to say like I was a dreamer, I was an extreme realist, like so logical, like give me facts. I'm a huge fact finder. My Colby, we know that, like I'm very high fact finder. I need it all. I need all the information. So because that would make it make sense.
Yeah.
And then it was like to dive into what we do.
It's not logical.
It's not logical. It doesn't make sense, but it works over and over and over and over again. It works.
It's funny. I was listening to some Wayne Dyer this morning, and he actually quoted Einstein that logic will get you from point A to point B, but imagination will get you anywhere you want to go. And I really love when we talk about mindset, because we even use the A, B, and C in goals, right? And A goal is something you've already done. B goal is something you know how to do but haven't done.
See the path to, yeah.
And that's a logical process.
Yeah, that's all I lived in my whole life. Smart goals, logical processes, like that was it, right? Because it kept me safe.
When you joined my program, originally it was like, well, let's get you a C-type goal. And a C goal is something you have no idea.
I remember I made you come up with a number because I was like, that's not possible for what I do. And you're like, yes, it is.
Yeah. And what's possible is a logical, programmed thought. And today for this episode, we want to help you as a listener add some tools to your tool bag. Now, this is for contractors, but it's also for anybody. But in home improvements, we carry tool bags on the job site, right?
Yeah,
and depending on the job you're doing, there are different tools that come in handy. When you're working on your mind, it's the same thing. Your mind is the most powerful supercomputer on this planet, and it's programmed and patterned by life at some level to limit you. And so what we work on in our program, Inner Blueprint, and we're going to share with you today, are just some tools. These are tools that I've helped Caitlin add to her tool bag after I was kind of gifted these tools.
Yeah.
And we work on them every day. So,
well, and it's funny too, because, I had very conflicting methods of operation. And that's what the Colby shares is I'm a very high fact finder, but then my same highest is quick start, which when you're a quick start, you get an idea, you start going with it. You're a big thinker.
She's kind of a unicorn. That doesn't exist.
It's supposed to not exist. I call it ADHD. That's what it is, right? And so I always had this conflicting, like, oh my gosh, I have this idea. It's going to be amazing. We're going to run with it. Like my imagination would kind of go, right?
And your conscious 5% mind would say, I like that.
Yep. And then my subconscious would kick in and I'd be like, I need every fact. I need to follow it up. I need to I need to go into this like private investigator mode to make sure that every detail is covered in that. But that held me back. It gave me paralysis by analysis. It gave me it kept me so limited because it was limited to the facts I could find or the beliefs and facts that I already had within me.
Yeah. You had to believe it before you thought you could see it. And in order to believe it, you had to find physical evidence. And that's the crazy thing about mindset is, and this is, again, Wayne Dyer's coming up. I've been listening to him a lot lately.
You have.
But he had a book, and he was talking about on the thing I was listening to this morning that when he initially sent it to the publishers, they told him he got it wrong because he titled it, you have to believe it in order to see it.
And that was what
And that's backwards, because most people say, well, I can't believe it until I see it.
And the only time that was ever taught to me otherwise was religion, right? Yeah. And I have a paradigm with different organized religions.
Have faith, right? Have faith.
Have faith, right? You have to believe it before you can see it. You can't see it to believe it type of situation. And so it was hard because like you're right, my conscious mind would be like, oh, here we go. We're going to do this. And then my subconscious program would kick in and go, no, you need the facts and all that. And it was based on to keep me safe.
Yeah.
Right.
And your limited knowledge and experience up to that point. And when we're trying to get out of that and use some of these cool tools, you have to step outside of the known. You have to go to your unknown, which
you have to not be a know-it-all anymore. And I was such a know-it-all. I valued myself on how much I knew. right? And it really held me back. And so if you're a logical person listening to this, you can be like, that doesn't make sense. Like, or it's kind of like clicking what I'm saying here. Just trust us. Like, just the rest of this episode, I just want you to listen. Just listen.
Yeah. And we are going to provide tactical, factual ways to approach it,
and science-backed information.
Science-backed information. I mean, what we teach with mindset used to be called New Age or woo-woo. And I always say those are just words people use to describe things they don't understand. And once you get to a high level of two things, awareness and understanding of how your mind works and how that mind drives your body to interact in this physical world, you actually can now take control of the only thing you have control, your thoughts, which will then create your feelings, which will then affect your actions, which will then create better results than you ever thought possible.
And it's quantum physics.
It is. It's quantum science in work. Change the observation point and you change a particle into a ray. I mean, that's what this is all about. And for me and listeners, we're not just talking about concepts or ideas that we hope will work. We're sharing with you some of the tools that both of us have used to build what we call our most beautiful life. I mean, just a few years ago, I didn't know how I was going to be living in the home I am today, married to the beautiful woman I am, having these beautiful bonus daughters attracted to my life, having the business and work that I'm able to do, having this happy, healthy 52-year-old body that I'm living in, having the vehicles I drive, getting to hang and spend time with. I mean, we just had some clients and friends spend the 4th holiday with us this past weekend. And I literally wake up every morning and do my rituals, which we'll share some
every day.
Whose life is this? How did I attract this? How did I attract this? You can say, well, you don't attract anything. You have to work for it. Well, I worked for 40 years of my life and didn't attract as much as I've attracted in less than 5 years.
Yep.
Using this understanding of the power of my mind.
And it's not just us that use that. Hundreds of our clients use it. We get success stories every single day, and we get to watch people, 10x their lives, which doesn't make sense.
Well, and with us, we have hundreds and thousands, but I plugged into Bob Proctor, who, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people globally. Jack Canfield, the original success book, Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Everything that we have in our tool bag basically comes back from those sources. And even real world today, we're affecting people. I've got, a mentor I work with that's the mindset coach for the University of Texas. Uses a very similar process that we use working with some of the best athletes of
the top 5%, right?
Top 5%. So this is all, if you're a logical mind and you're saying, I don't want to listen to this new age crap, take that hat off for a minute, put on your imagination and just listen.
Or just your listening hat. If you feel like you don't have an imagination hat yet, just put your listening hat on.
Everybody has an imagination.
Everybody has. We're all born with that. It's what deciphers us from animals. So, yes.
Yeah. And another Einstein quote. We're going to throw out some quotes here today.
Good.
Imagination is more powerful than knowledge.
It is.
Albert Einstein. Like he said, if you want smart kids, have them read fantasy books. If you want even smarter kids, have them read more fantasy books, because we get limited by this program pattern of logic, of knowledge. I need to know more. I mean, you just described when I met you, you were stuck in knowledge.
Totally. And it's so funny because when you go back and you think of these things, the automobile, that was one. He had to use his imagination. You couldn't make a horse faster.
That's all people wanted was faster, healthier horses.
Exactly.
They didn't want a car. They
so
didn't
then
want an
creating horsepower in a vehicle, that took imagination. The gift of flight. That was never done
before.
Wright
brothers were bicycle mechanics.
Yeah, and they use their imagination,
yes.
Which is so wild to me. So when you think of the most advanced technology of our time, Elon Musk, what he's done, and it takes imagination.
SpaceX and Tesla.
It starts
Steve
with that.
Jobs. He revolutionized the phone business, the music business. With his imagination, it all started. And I love reading and hearing things about Steve Jobs, because he would literally have engineers and technicians come to him and say it wasn't possible. Henry Ford had guys come to him and tell him it wasn't possible. And he would tell them, go show me it's possible. Go find a way. And in order to find a way, you have to get outside of your program pattern mind.
Out of that logic.
A lot of the tools we use, and you've heard these words before, in goal setting, we write goal statements. We come up with affirmations. We use daily gratitude. We use meditation. These are all things you can research and we can talk more. But what we really want to focus on today, and it actually applies to a lot of those things we just talked about, it's the power of writing it down.
Which in today's
digital world,
where we sit, our kids don't write things down in school anymore. It's all in a Chromebook.
And there is a different process between typing something or put on your phone or just thinking about it than there is to actually taking it, putting pen or pencil to paper, and writing it down.
And this is neuroscience.
Yes.
Neuroscience proves that when you write it down, it activates the reticular activating system, which is your RAS. And that helps it become true faster. It helps you retain it better. It's why they always say, don't just take notes, write notes. I mean, I remember being told that in high school and college, like
it helps with retention, right?
It helped with my retention like crazy.
Yeah. And we don't usually read things on it, but I actually was just pulling up ahead of time the science behind writing it down. Number one, encoding process. Writing engages the brain's encoding process more deeply than thinking or speaking. Encoding is how we move information from short-term to long-term. And in mindset, that's from conscious, 5% awareness, to 95%. When you write it down, you're literally helping program it to be a new paradigm, a new pattern. A study done at a university found that people who wrote down their goals were 42% likely to achieve them. I've heard other studies.
I've heard higher
50
numbers
or
than
60%.
that. Yeah.
Just by writing it down.
You could have it in your head all day, but all that is it's just floating around in your mind and it's getting muddled by other thoughts.
It's not grounded. It's not, you think
it's
60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, so it's just circulating. This is in the science. Number two, the reticular activating system, the RAS, right? The RAS is part of your brain that filters information and determines what's important. And if you've ever bought a new vehicle, I always use the analogy. If I tell you to go home tonight and tomorrow on your way to the office, count the red cars and you'll get $100 for every red car. You'll start noticing every red car. That's your RAS system at work. And when you write something down, especially a goal or an affirmation, you tell your RAS brain, this matters. As a result, your brain actually starts looking for evidence to support that reality.
Every time.
This isn't pie in the sky. This is science. Write it down. You're giving your mind an order. That's what I want to find. Multisensory engagement. Mm-hmm. Writing uses multiple senses. And I always talk about the power of focus. You can't write something down and be thinking about a bunch of different things. You can scroll your computer, you can listen to a lecture, and you can think about a bunch of different things. But when you're writing it down, it uses touch, sight, and fine motor skills. This activates more parts of the brain than passive thinking, helping in bed. And again,
that's why it was always told to me, my ADHD, I'm thinking of a million things a moment.
It's in and out.
It's complete. But writing it down, it took all my focus to write it down. So then I was able to retain it better.
And then the last scientific theory behind it is called cognitive load theory, which basically states that writing things down reduces your brain's cognitive load, freeing mental bandwidth to take action. So writing it down can help you take action. It's like offloading your RAM so you can process and run more efficiently.
Yep.
An example of that I always use is a to-do list.
This is my favorite one to do with you.
Well, especially for me, because I have a lot on my plate, right?
Always. You always do. And you always have a million things in your mind that need to be done or could be done. And I'm like, babe, just write it down. Like, give me a list and I can help you.
Whenever I spin out, she gets me to write it down.
And it goes from being 5,000 things to like 10 things on a list.
And I write them down. And before I've even given her the list to help me with, I've got half of them done.
Well, and that's another thing to hit on is when you write them down, one, they become physical and tangible. You realize all those things that were going on in my head weren't actually real. They were thoughts that were kind of spun together with other thoughts and they aren't real. And then you're able to get help with those. You're able to allow other people to help you with them.
I just learned something on this episode. That's the cognitive load theory.
Yeah.
I'm so busy thinking about all the things and then thinking about how I'm going to fix them and then thinking about what obstacles I might have and thinking what else come up that I'm overloading my brain and so I don't take action.
Yep.
And the second I write a to-do list, it's done. I mean, it literally, but it's because it takes the load off of your mind and inherently your brain, and mind are separate than brain, but we won't dive there today, at least not yet.
Okay.
But you free it up and now you've just got this list. And now
action
you're
items.
Free to go to work on getting the list done.
Yeah, you're able to take action easier when you write it down because we're programmed to see a checklist and complete it, right?
Yeah.
Not just have it in your head going, I know I need to do this and this and this, and exactly what you say. When it's in our mind, they don't become tangible action steps. They become an entire process. Like the entire process, if I have to think about, Caitlin just scratched the rim on her brand new car. So I have to think about what that's going to be, who I'm going to hire to do that. What am I going to do? Am I going to do this and this? And then you take it, is it going to take up this much time? Blah, blah, blah. Instead of just writing it down like, hey, get this fixed.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I know the steps that need to go. I'm just going to get it done. Like it makes it so much easier. And so we do that for to-do lists. why don't we do that for things that we actually want to do too? Not
Yeah.
just things we feel like we have to do or need to get taken care of.
So let's break it down. We want to make this an educational episode. So the
Thank
tool
you.
we're talking about is writing it down. And if you have a paradigm or your logical mind says that's a new age or why does writing it down help? We've just kind of explained to you why writing anything that's coming up in your mind down is helpful. But now we're going to put it into some categories. First one is goals.
Yeah. Write down a goal
Right.
every single day. If you like, that's a great action item for 90 days starting today.
Yes.
Write down a goal. It can be something simple. It doesn't have to be like paragraphs long.
Or it could be something really complex and big, but you don't have to know how you're going to do it. You just simply say, if you want to make more money than you've ever made, take the most you've ever made, times it by 2, and just write that as a new goal. Write it down and write it down every day for 30 days.
90 days too, if you really want to make it.
Yeah.
Like, let's go.
30 days to start the pattern. But then you say, well, how am I going to do it? That's not going to change anything. Don't worry about that. That's getting caught up in overloading your mind with the how. You just want to get it to a belief that it's possible to double your income. And if you get it to a belief, then the how will be shown to you. And again, we're not going to go too deep. I just want to give you the basics on these, but write your goals down. Whether it's a goal to take the family on vacation, whether it's a goal to work out every day, whether it's a goal to have a better conversation with your wife once a week, whether it's a goal to talk nice to yourself, whatever it is, just
A
write
goal
a
to
goal
have
statement.
more free time. Like, I'm so happy and grateful I have freedom to do what I want, when I want, with who I want. Write that down every day.
And
See
most
what
people
happens.
say that sounds too general. That's not going to do anything. As we've got hundreds of people now doing what they want, when they want, with who they want, by simply saying it and writing it down every day.
They're eliminating things they don't like to do. They're delegating. They're realizing, hey, that's actually not a big deal. I don't need to do that. Why am I doing that? Just by writing it down, activating the reticulating
Calculating system.
the activating system, and then it just happens
Yes.
because what you focus on comes about,
Yes.
good or bad.
So goals, and if you've never done anything with goal setting, I challenge you. We have so many people in our program that are so grateful to this day. They never really understood the process of goal setting or writing things down. And now that they have, they're goal crushers. They're literally crushing their goals and writing new ones every single month because as they put it in their mind, they write it down, they get to a belief, it starts coming into the physical world. So
Well, and I mean, I'll go back to myself. And my first thing, I was such a logical person. I was like, you're going to have to come up with that number for me. Like, I can't even think of it. And you came up with the number for me. And I was like, well, that's more than anybody on my entire sales team makes. So I don't
tell
know.
me all the reasons she couldn't do it.
I don't know how that's going to be possible. But within the first month of coming up with that and writing it down, I made more in that first month, monthly. Like if I just continued at that rate, that monthly rate, I would make more than what that number was. Like it didn't make sense. I don't know. I don't even know how I did it. Honestly, it wasn't like, oh, and I changed this process and that process and this process. It just happened.
The only thing you have to change is your mind.
It's wild.
It's we work inside out, but we're programmed to build outside in, and it's not how we're designed. Our mind is designed to interact with the physical world. We don't respond to what is. We create from inside, and we start with this process of writing and goal setting. Now,
and that can be, again, that self-limiting belief of or that paradigm of I can't afford to think like that because it's not safe. I can't afford to think that big because what if A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, go through the whole alphabet happens. But when you let go of that, magic truly does happen. And it seems like magic because it happens easier, faster, and in ways you never even realized it could.
well, and if we're talking about this, so the first tool we're sharing with writing things down is goal setting. And as you're trying to write some goals, if some thoughts come up like Caitlin's talking about, of reasons you can't, shouldn't, want that goal, now let's go to the second tool we're going to give you, and that's the power of affirmation. As you identify a limiting belief on why you can't have this goal, now it's time to do some work on affirmation. And I'm all about doing affirmations out loud, even looking in the mirror, but you want to make your affirmations really powerful, you write them down. You write them down. I mean, when I met Caitlin, I'd been affirming every day, writing it down that I was an amazing husband, an amazing father, and the physical world had told me otherwise for quite a few years, but I was using the power of affirmation and writing it down to create. So what do you want more of in your life? Do you need more abundance? I'm abundant. Do you need to get more assertive? I'm assertive. And some of this is who do you need to become more of in order to attract it?
Well, and that actually reminds me, I remember I read it was a book that was given to me. It probably was a Jack Canfield book now that I think about it. Years and years and years ago when I was a teenager, and it's always awkward, whether you're a female or a male, when you go from preteen to teenager. Your body changes, your hormone changes, your self-image just changes so rapidly. And I was really, really hard on myself because I was a competitive gymnast. And so I was always focused on the things that were wrong with me or that could be better so that I could do better. And I remember it said something like, write down a statement on your mirror and look at it every day. And I wrote, I am beautiful on my mirror. And I had to look at that every single day. And it changed. I started getting more compliments. There wasn't one dance that I didn't get asked to. There wasn't one night that I didn't have plans with friends or boys with, like, you know, everyone's like, oh, Caitlin's so boy crazy. And I was. And, but.
Did you write that as an affirmation or was that just natural?
It just naturally happened. But it's crazy when I think back about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I do remember writing that. And I remember my life changing pretty drastically, pretty quickly, just with that alone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and we've talked about it before, but I'll restate it. So the reason we talk about affirmations and I am statements comes from the Bible. Wayne Dyer did a lot of work on this. A guy by the name of James Twyman, the book The Moses Code, will really explain it. But it's basically using the law of assumption, words from the Bible, and creating the I am statement with whatever you want after the I am. And if you think about this, you use this negatively without thinking about it. I'm not enough, I'm poor, I'm not smart enough. I mean, we say naturally a lot of I am statements when we're defining who we are. And the process of writing it down is writing things that you want to be or things that you used to be that got programmed out of you.
Yeah.
And it can be a really powerful. I always recommend people start with about 10 I am statements that they not only say, but that you write down every single day.
Well, and it's so true. And I remember one of mine when I first met you, I wrote down, because one thing I felt I never was consistent. And I always blamed my ADHD. And it was just like, well, I'll never be a consistent person. And so I just wrote it down. It became one of my affirmations that I said every day too. And within like a year of writing it down, a very logical person in our life, I said something like, I know, gosh, if a private investigator had to follow me around for a day, they'd be exhausted because nothing's ever the same. I'm so inconsistent. And he looked at me and said, I actually think you're one of the most consistent people I know. And I was like, what? And he hadn't known me that long. And so I was like, well, shit, this works. That's something I would never consider myself to be. It's something I affirm myself to be. And here's someone who has not known me for very long, who is a very logical mind, telling me this. I
must be consistent.
I must be. It is so wild. And, you know, I've talked in the past episodes, and something that I coach women on every day is even writing it down and saying, I love my body is perfect, my body is sexy, I love my body. I say that 100 times a day to myself, out loud, in my mind. However, all of the above, write it down too. My body's my body composition has completely transformed from being a competitive gymnast, spin instructor, kickbox instructor, doing yoga every day, all those things. I'm doing far less of that than ever. It's like I go for walks, we work out at the gym, I do lift in our basement, things like that. But my body has changed drastically, my body composition.
Just by the power of affirmation.
Power of affirmation. Nothing different. Everyone's like, what are you doing? I'm like, less than I've ever done in my entire life.
And that's the challenging part of this is, and the logical mind will tell you that you have to actually physically do something, which there is physical action involved in everything.
Yes.
But it all starts with the mindset. Take a goal, write it down. Come up with some affirmations, write it down. And this is one other thing on writing it down. But, you know, before I met Caitlin, besides doing I am statements, I'd made a list of the type of person I was trying to attract. I literally had a list. And you hear people say, oh, did she check the boxes for you? I literally had boxes. I had the type of person that I wanted, qualities I wanted, outdoors person, loves family, active, you know, just the different qualities. And, you know, as we started hanging out as friends, I went back and looked at that list, and I had attracted the exact person that met everything on my list, and actually more than I ever hoped for. So,
in another example of this, and I just shared this last week with our women's group, I have the app Time Hop, and so it's just fun. It tells you, you know, what happened on this day a year ago, 2 years ago, and it just goes on as long as, you know, it'll scroll through all your apps, your photos, everything like that, and show you what you were doing on this day, however many years ago. And it popped up on this day 2 years ago, and it was a list that Sean and I had written. We had been house hunting for over a year, and we couldn't ever agree on things. And we found a house that
Had most of the things
Had
that she
most of the
wanted,
things.
some of the things I wanted.
We'd
but yeah,
never written a list though, and it was just like,
together. I actually had an own list and even a script about it, which we'll talk more in a minute.
yeah, you had your script, and that's
Yes.
kind of what I was going off to. And I was like, well, I feel like this does hit those things. It's got great, has a lot of the things, awesome. And then we found out it had a lot of things that we didn't want. And so I was very upset, and I was being a little sassy as I get.
Well, yeah, and explain a little bit more. We'd found a house that we really liked. We actually put an offer on it.
Yep.
And in the inspection process, things came up that
bunch
got
of
us
shit.
rabbit holing. And I decided before Caitlin did that it was not a good move. And our realtor agreed with me.
And I was like, fine.
But this is what I love is she said, let's use one of our tools.
Yeah, I said, I was getting sassy, and I was like, we're going to make a list. Like, that's it. Me and you, we're making a list of everything we want, not what we don't want. We're just going to be really clear on what we want, and we're making a list. And I pulled out a piece of paper, and I started writing a list. And I was being like, I wrote it in kind of like I'll show you, like, there's no way we're going to
She's a
find
little
something.
competitive.
I am. There's no way we're going to find something that hits all of this. Like 10-foot ceilings in the basement even. Like, of course, why do I need tall ceilings? I'm 5 feet tall, but I like them and I want them, okay?
You wanted the open windows and the light.
I wanted open windows and light. I wanted a great yard, but that didn't require daily maintenance. I wanted, there was hardwood flooring throughout. I wanted so many things that I was like, and I remember handing it to him and I said, okay, go ahead and add to it. Good luck finding everything on this list. And he wrote his things down, and within a week of us writing that down,
The open house showed up, and
The
it was in a
open house.
neighborhood that we really liked, but nothing was going for sale.
Yeah, and
all of
I-
a sudden this listing pops up.
and it hit everything on our list. Everything.
Yeah, I'd put it because I wanted a golf cart friendly neighborhood. It not only was golf cart friendly, but it had a shed for a golf cart, and it's right next to a golf course.
Golf
It was
course.
like, holy cow.
And you wanted a built-in safe. Like a
Yeah.
room with a built-in safe with a door. It has that.
And I can't remember if I wrote Fort Knox, but in my mind I had Fort Knox, and it was literally a Fort Knox. I mean, as we walked into this house, you guys, we walk in and we have the list, and it is checking everything. And another crazy thing, it was a new listing, and the
Brand new,
market
came
wasn't
up.
on fire, but it was still a pretty good market. And multiple showings on the first open house, got into a multiple offer situation. We used our mindset. They accepted our best, and it wasn't the highest offer. It was the best offer. So
Yeah.
the power of this stuff, I love when we talk and we share, and people that are logical especially are like, oh, you guys are so full of shit.
I'm like,
this stuff doesn't work. I'm like,
Here's
okay,
a picture of the list, and a week later.
you believe what you want, because whatever you believe is true. But I believe that the tools we're sharing with you guys work. And the reason I believe it is I have living proof now. I have physical. And I came from a place of scarcity not that long ago, where today I wake up in a beautiful home with this beautiful wife, with this beautiful yard, these beautiful vehicles, this beautiful work that we do. Everything that I have, and now we have together, started for me on a list, a piece of paper, or we can probably talk about next, a life script letter. I mean, the tools in Inner Blueprint are what I use to create the most beautiful life that not only we get to enjoy, but now hundreds of individuals that have gone through the program and worked with us are now living better lives than they thought possible. And it's so funny when you say, well, what are you doing different? Oh, some goal setting, affirmation work. It's the way in which we do it that's different.
Yeah, it is. We have a proven process, and it doesn't just work for us. Like I said, it works for hundreds of our clients, and it is so amazing because there is no such thing as coincidence. Everything is on a vibration. That is a scientific fact. Everything vibrates at a different vibration, right? And so it's when you are vibrating a certain vibration, you attract certain things that are at that vibration, and it works out really easily, and a way to prove that too is the life script letter. So if you'll explain that, I'll explain how it came to fruition.
So my original life script letter, I wrote back in 2014.
And this is a Jack Canfield.
No, it wasn't. Jack does it, but I don't think I got it from Jack. I got a lot of it from Esther Hicks. And again, I was a student of personal development. I just wasn't really good at applying it. And you listening, I mean, we talk about the knowing doing gap. I knew a lot of this stuff. I just didn't have the tools to put it to work. And again, we've collected all these tools that are now part of our program that when you join it, you get every tool in the tool bag. Like there is nothing that you will come up with that we don't have a tool that
We
can
don't
help
gatekeep.
you with the mindset. But yeah, the original exercise I did, it was describe your life and write almost like a movie script. Write the script. And I developed our process, which we now use, and it's multiple steps. But the first step was talking about my mind. The second was talking about my health and wellness. The third was talking about my relationships. The fourth was talking about my work. And the fifth was talking about how I got to live because of all these things. Now keep in mind, in 2014, my finances were a mess. I was 2 years from divorce and didn't know it yet. My health and wellness, I was being prescribed all kinds of medications for stress and indigestion. The physical world was telling me a story that I didn't like. And so I wrote a life script that was my own story. And it's funny because today I read that letter. It was bullshit back then. In fact, I jokingly call it my bullshit letter. I talked about my perfect mind. It was a mess. I talked about my health and wellness. It was a mess. I talked about my relationships. They were a mess. And all of this goes back to I was kind of a mess, but I wrote down present tense. So this one will take you a little bit longer than writing a goal or writing some affirmations. But write yourself a life script. If you're up for a challenge, you want to see huge transformation in your life. After writing that script in 2014, I went on the ride of my life. I talk a lot about enjoy the ride. I have been enjoying the ride pretty much since. I mean, it took a little while to get some traction, but today, when I read that letter, 90% of it has come true. The house we live in, the body I live in, the relationships I have in my life, the work that I get to do.
And it hasn't all been sunshine and rainbows. All of these things have come true, but there's also been a lot of struggle. You know, both of your parents passing.
Both my parents, my little brother died that time. I got a divorce after writing it.
Lawsuit.
I financially lost a lot of things.
We've been through so much in that time, but the common theme through all of it is you're still living all of those other things. They all came true within that. So it's not like it erases problems from your life.
Life is a challenge.
Shit
period.
happens.
Life is a challenge, period.
Yeah. And so it really is crazy. And so I remember we started teaching this and he'd read me his and he actually had a video of him writing it or reading what he had written.
Loud, yeah.
And it's so cute. It's like it has Ed Sheeran in the background, it's darling. And I was like, okay, this is really great. And I will say this too, the life script letter might be actually easier for you to write than a goal at this point. I've had quite a few clients reach out to me and say, I'm really struggling with my word goal, but I have my life script letter. Because for some of us, it's easier to think, oh, I wish my life could be like this and write a life script letter of what you wish could happen.
But you have to be careful. I do want to state this. If you're writing it, you don't write it as a wish. You write it present tense. Mm-hmm. As everything, the goal, the affirmation, I am statements, the life script, they're all written. And again, writing it down, present tense, as if there's no I will, I hope. It's I am or it is. It's just present tense.
And this really works. It had taken me a few years to write mine for multiple reasons. I was, an honor student when it came to reading and writing and English. I was top of my class.
So many people have paradigms about writing. You had a paradigm about writing. It had to be perfect.
It had to be perfect.
Some people say they don't write.
Yeah, I had this paradigm that it had to be perfect, that someone was going to read it, that I was going to be tested on it, was it going to live up to the standard that I had? And so that was one of them. And then the other one that I really struggled with was I'm already living a dream life. Like right now I'm living the dream life that I had a year ago and it's already coming true. So who am I to want for more when really I'm living such a dream life? And so finally, all it took was Sean challenging me to do it. And so I sat down, came up with it.
It took a few years, but it worked.
Yeah. But you were like, I challenge you to have this written by the end of the week. And I was like, challenge accepted, let's go. And so I wrote it down. And within 2 weeks of me creating my life script letter, there was a line in there that said, Sean and I fly private anywhere around the world. We spend time in the Caribbean, unplugged on private yachts, enjoying our time. And within 2 weeks of me writing that, we got a call from a client, a friend, and we got invited to fly private, to be on a private yacht all through the Caribbean. And I was like, well, okay.
And this is the craziest part because your logical mind might say, well, yeah, but how am I going to afford that?
Yeah, how are we going to afford that? Mine went to how much work am I going to have to do to do this?
And Caitlin wrote it and we planned on paying for it, right? And we figured it would take a couple of years and we got this invite within a month. And the person that invited us is a client, so is his daughter. We'd helped him a lot. They wouldn't let us pay for it.
Yeah.
They would not let us pay for it.
Yes,
it was just show up. Just get a flight to Florida. We'll take you from there. And
we flew
powerful.
Private, yeah.
Again, we're sharing with you these ideas, these tools that we use. And then we're giving you the results we get from them.
Yeah,
this isn't pie in the sky.
These are real world examples.
Real world. I mean, I attracted Caitlin by making a list. We attracted our house by making a list. I attracted my whole beautiful life by writing a life script letter. I became the version of myself I am today with a list of I am statements that I wrote over and over. I continue to write them. That's the other thing too, is we don't stop. I've got a new life script letter that's probably about 10 years out. I try not to date it, but I've written what I think my life will be like, present tense.
Yeah, you say in yours, yes, at 60 years old. Mine doesn't have a time on it. And so when we were going through this module again in this round, I was like, I wonder if I should put some time into mine. So I am looking at redoing that kind of tweaking that a little bit. But one thing that is in mine is, I get to throw retreats all around the world, or I get to throw luxury retreats all around the world for like-minded people to better their lives. And that was, I forgot that was in it, but where are we going in 2.5 weeks? We're throwing our first international luxury retreat on a private yacht in Croatia. I didn't know how that was possible. I just wrote, that's what I want to do someday. I didn't know where, I didn't know how. I just knew that is what I saw myself doing.
And so many things like that, it doesn't make sense. I mean, when you ask, how did you guys do this? I always say, I don't know how, but I can tell you what I did. I wrote it down.
Yep.
I wrote it down. I mean,
I got it out of my head. I got it onto paper. It became physical. It became tangible, and it became an action item list for me. I love a good checklist, man. Give me a checklist, and that's what it becomes.
Well, this Croatia trip, because I look at, there's a website that says, welcome to Sean and Caitlin's Waves of Abundance Tour. It's this beautiful boat, this beautiful experience. We didn't have to curate it. And again, I got to a Jack Canfield event using these tools we're talking about. I paid to attend it. While there, I got in front of Jack and said I wanted to be him and teach with him. The next year, Caitlin and I went back and I taught with him. Last year, I went back, sat at the front of the room, taught with Jack. At this event, I met a guy who introduced me to the guy that is hosting
that helps
this
create
retreat,
these experiences.
that helped create it. I didn't have to physically do anything. I just had it in my mind. I had it written down in a bunch of different places, and then it shows up.
We're surprised and amazed every day at how these things show up, because they show up in ways we never dreamed possible, and yet they do.
And the biggest thing, to use the tools we're talking about, you might have to get out of your logical mind.
Yep.
You might have to use your imagination. You might have to change your perspective on something. You might have to get really vulnerable. Some of the superpowers we share in Inner Blueprint. And again, we are sharing with you tools. We don't just talk about these tools. We use them every single day. I mean, I was up early this morning before we came down here to record. I did my sauna. I did my cold plunge. I did my affirmation. I did my gratitude. I wrote some things down. We do every single day what we're asking you to lean into to get some better results.
This isn't just us, and this isn't our clients. I mean, one of my favorite stories is Jim Carrey wrote himself a check for $10 million and wrote in the for.
As he was living in his car.
As he was living in his car, and in the for, little line on the check, if, some of our listeners are probably like, what's a check? Because nobody writes checks anymore. But it said, for acting services rendered. And years, not even that long
after, he got his
first $10 million check for Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Like, that is insane. Jack Canfield shares a story of where he wrote for $1 million.
It was only $100,000 back then.
Oh, $100,000.
Jack Canfield never made $100,000.
Wrote it down, put it on his ceiling
so
above his bed.
When he'd go to bed at night, he'd look at this $100,000 number, and when he'd wake up, it would be the first thing. And his whole story, we won't rabbit hole on it, but he ended up, publishing Chicken Soup for the Soul, which even though it was quite a few years ago, most people have still heard of that brand.
Oh, yeah.
It all started with him writing it down.
Yeah, and it just happens over and over and over. You hear these stories, and so why are you telling yourself that shouldn't happen for you? Because it will. I challenge you to just start writing something every day for 30, 60, 90 days. I mean, really, if you want to go 90 days, it's going to be your highest level of success, because even our clients at their highest level, they own, $40+ million companies where you just look at they fly private, they travel all over the world, they're doing all these things, and you think, gosh, they live the best life. I'm sure they don't do that. They do it every single day. They write things down they write their goal down, they write their affirmations down every single day.
I mean, my mentor, Bob Proctor, passed away a few years ago, but he was in his 80s when I met him. And I was going through a challenge and reached out for some help and was told, Bob's in his 80s. He's been doing this for 50+ years. He was up at 4 a.m. doing his goals, doing his affirmation, and doing his gratitude. What makes you think you're any better than Bob? And that really struck home. That's when I really decided that if I'm going to teach this, I have to live it. And we live Inner Blueprint every single day. And hopefully these tools have been helpful. You guys, if you go to write them down and you have some negative or some doubting thoughts, that's normal.
It's normal.
It's part of the process. That's why it's important you write it down. If you can't write the goal down because you think it's crazy or you think it's impossible, I will tell you, if you had the idea, it means it's possible for you. And one of the first, most powerful steps you can take is get it out of your head and onto a piece of paper.
Well, and it creates an anchor. It creates a physical anchor for you to look at. Sean and I in our bathroom, we have a double vanity, have a check written out from the universe for $100 million company that we're going to own. And
we already own it.
That we already own, right? It
Yeah.
just hasn't shown up in the physical yet. And I look at that and think, that's such a small number. Like, that's already going to happen. Like, not a big deal. And then what happens is I get into our day-to-day business. I start working on our plans for growing. I start, through EOS, we make our rocks.
Some challenge or some things going wrong.
And I just think, oh my gosh, how are we ever going to do this? Da, da, da. And I start telling myself all the logical ways that this can't happen, that we can't do it, all of that. And then I go up into our bathroom and I'm getting ready, for bed. And I see that and I'm like, there's a physical anchor. Like, you're getting in your own way again. Knock it off, Caitlin. Like, knock it off.
And listeners, if you want to help us, our goal to build that size of company isn't about the revenue or the dollars. It's about the impact. And I've kind of replaced it in my head that we're going to help 100 million people live better lives. So if this message is resonating with you, we ask you to subscribe to the podcast, like the episode.
Share
and
it.
If there's somebody that that could use these tools, please share them.
Share it with them.
We're giving this stuff away. This is stuff you can take and implement immediately. And if you'll spend 30 minutes a day on your mindset, 15 minutes on good material, 5 minutes on goal affirmation, 5 minutes of I am statements, and 5 minutes of gratitude. And if you add the tool of writing these things down as you're doing them, it's less than 30 minutes a day. And you're going to change your life. And you don't have to know how, and you don't have to have 100% belief right now. You have to take the first step, and that's believing that what I'm telling you is true. And that's up to you to believe it. I know it to be true because I've lived it. Caitlin knows it to be true because we live it together every single day.
And we get real world examples every single day from our clients.
Write it down. Just write it down.
That's it. That's all it takes.
Just write it down. That's it.
It's pretty easy.
What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?
It's simple. Sometimes it's not easy to write those things down, right? Because it feels scary.
Write it down anyway.
Just write it down anyway.
Just write it down.
Just write it down.
After you write down your goal and what you want and your I ams, then write down what you're grateful for. One of the most powerful practices in writing is making a list of 5 things you're grateful for that you already have and 5 things you're grateful for that are on their way.
I mean, in that we've been told stories from different clients that it's cured their anxiety, it's cured their depression when they just are writing down.
Oh, yeah. You want to get out of the past and forget about the future, get present and grateful for right here, right now.
And write it down. Get that physical anchor.
All right. Thank you. This is a great topic.
I know. I love it.
I appreciate your energy and your sharing, and thanks for writing things down to attract beautiful things into our life.
That's right. We don't gatekeep. We're giving you the information, close that knowing doing gap, and just do it.
And we don't just talk about it. We're not teachers. We're students. And hopefully we've shared some things that we study, that we have in our tool bags that we use every day. And as always, keep listening and keep enjoying the ride.
Welcome to the Inner Blueprint Podcast. I'm Sean Foyer, the Universal Mindset Disruptor. With over 20 years of turning blueprints into thriving home improvement businesses, I've learned that the strongest foundations start in your mind. Whether you're building a business or your own success, we're here to reshape how you think and face daily life and always remind you to enjoy the ride.